Welcome, ladies and gents, to Peterborough Cathedral, ahead of today's game, of course, against Peterborough, where they're probably going to be popping in rather shortly for a quick little prayer that they can get out of the relegation zone, much like ourselves. But before we crack on with today's game, we do, of course, have a couple to catch up on. So, without further ado, let's head on into Football Manager. Today's first catch-up match sees us head to Pride Park to take on the struggling 17th place Rams side, a game which we really should have had an outside chance in. However, after our big Gerthy meat had had his disallowed equaliser just a couple of minutes before half-time, they grabbed a second only a minute into the second half. And although Lawless was able to pull one back to a third and final brace goal for Jockwiak sealed this 3-1 result for Derby County. Next up, we then welcome second place Fulham to York. Thankfully, due to poor finishing on the Cottagers' part, as well as some good opportune conversions of our own, we were able to go 2-0 up in the first half in this one. First, thanks to Byers grabbing himself a goal, and then a throwback goal from Weiss. 70 minutes in though, Fulham did give us food for thought with a goal, but thankfully Big Gerthy Meat was able to slide himself in there and seal the win in stoppage time. Okay, ladies and gents, before we hop into the notebook, we have a little bit of news to cover, a little bit of good news, as you can see from the message below, the one highlighted, unless my big head's in the way, I guess. Well, we've got a new youth intake. Sadly, it's not as good as I was hoping for, but there is a couple of players for us to look at and for me to sign up. So, as you can see, the best one is John Jackson, a right-hand-sided midfielder he's down as, but he's highlighted as being more natural up front, so we're better having a look at him, see if he's better as a winger or actually up front. And we then have a right back as well who can also play centre back. Now, the good talents here at the bottom, the Ghanaian and all of these, I don't think we're signing any of them. I think we're literally just signing Lee Wright and John Jackson. So let's have a quick little look at them before we crack on with our notebook and then of course our game. So first of all, we'll start with the worst one. We'll go with Lee Wright. So we would be using him as a wing back if we was going to use him. How does he look? Off the ball lacks on 4, but everything else is pretty decent. I don't think he's going to be necessarily good enough for us, but he'd be good to develop and sell on. In terms of centre back, how would he cope in that position? Well, if we get him on defensive, which we would use, he lacks composure. Okay, so we wouldn't be using him as a centre back. Maybe we get him learning a bit more off the ball to be a wing back, or we could get him a bit more composed and then he might be able to be a centre back. But again, don't think he's going to be a centre back at our level. So this guy's really a guy to bring in for us to develop and sell on. Maybe get into a League 2 sort of level club, I reckon. Might be decent for him. Maybe even non-league. The next one is, of course, John Jackson. And, well, time to figure out if he is a winger. He looks like a winger from those statistics. How do you like being an inside forward, though? That is the question. On the other side, okay, he's not too bad. If we worked on his long shots, he wouldn't be too bad in that role. And as a striker, advanced forward, okay, he's well versatile. I think he could possibly play all three of those options. Will he do it for us? Again, he has the ability to get to that point. I don't think we're going to give him the opportunity to get to that point, to be honest, but nice little youngster there. We are, of course, going to sign both of those on, but without further ado, let's hop into that notebook. And so, friends, with our catch-up out of the way, it is, of course, time to head here into the notebook, where we have quite a few injuries to go over, as you can see. First of all, Dion Lawless. He picked up an injury. He picked up a tight groin. He suffered that in training, 1 to 3 days, so should be okay. Now, Frankie Terry also had some discomfort in training. He suffered a tight hamstring, 1 to 2 days, not too bad. Jose Ayrton, I know he's going to miss our next game though. Jose Ayrton has sustained a twisted ankle. He did that in a training session. And, well, I'm not sure which of these approaches we went for. Maybe I just left him. But, if we get onto it, as you can see, he's out for 7 days to 3 weeks. So he's got quite the lengthy time out. Next up is Shaking Stevens. Now, Shaking Stevens suffered a tight calf during training as well. Yep, our training has been injuring most of our team. Now, Civic has been handed a Uganda call-up, which is nice to see. And the York Mentoring Month in review. Well, we've got Kieran Phillips. He's picked up some positive traits. That's nice to see. He is focused on his craft and approaches each day with more professionalism. He is more focused on his game and less likely to bring controversy to the club. His sense of sportsmanship has increased, so all around, very good increases to his stats. But enough rambling from me, let's crack on with today's game as we take on relegation candidates Peterborough. And so, ladies and gents, with my own personal little sing-song out of the way, it is time to crack on with today's game. And, well, as you can see, there is a few other interesting games going on. Most specifically, of course, Hull City versus Sheffield Wednesday, 19th versus 20th. I, of course, want Hull City in that one. And, well, how is Portsmouth getting on? They are trying to scrape their way into survival. They're taking on 5th place Reading. They're going to have a rough time. Peterborough, of course, should have a rough time against us. QPR down there is against Birmingham, so maybe QPR can grab themselves a couple of points in that one. And Swansea, who look to be pretty much stuck on the bottom of the table, where are they? Okay, I'm blind. Swansea is away at Nottingham Forest, so they should have a pretty rough time of things too. But enough rambling, let's head on into the tactical meeting screen. Of course, if you're interested in any of the other fixtures, feel free to go back, pause it, have a little look. But it's a gusty, drizzly 11 degrees here today as we take on 23rd place Peterborough. There's 9,350 tickets that have been sold out of 14,084 capacity. Good pitch condition. We've applied the opposition instructions. We're not going to apply anything else on there. We are going for a positive mentality. This is a team we should be beating. Considering how we've been getting on thus far and how they've been getting on, this is a game we should be trying to win. So, George in goal, the backline of Fleming, Terry, Adipan and Shakin Stevens. Central midfield is Rowley and Sorensen. On the wings is Weiss and Lubala, with Lawson sitting behind our big Geffen meat. Our bench consists of Prisbeck, Klein, Shipley, Civic, Phillips, Pedder and Samuel Vokes. Now, there is a couple of names, as you can see, missing. So Byers is a wee bit tired, so he's not playing. Williams is still recovering, although it looks like he should be back 2 to 4 weeks. That fitness suggests he might be able to come back a little bit earlier. So we might have Williams back for the next episode. Ian Hall, how long have you got? 4 days. Okay, Hall should definitely be available for the next one. Williams, possibly. Williams has lost his top goal scorer, of course, because he was stuck on 12, and now we have Big Geffen Meat on 13. Only 1 extra goal, and yet he has played quite a few more games. Jose Ayrton even. He's out for a good bit, though. 8 days to 2 weeks, so he might be back for the next episode. Really depends. I think we do have a couple of games between now and then. Yes, we do. We have a couple of games which sees us take on Birmingham and West Brom before we play our next episode, which of course will be against Bristol City. But enough rambling from me. Let's head on inside. Let's have our team talk with the lads. Okay, so we're taking on one of the favourites to get relegated. I think it's safe to say we should probably be a little bit assertive in this one. Although I am tempted to be a bit nicey considering we are arguably doing a lot better than we probably should be. Or at least as was expected at the start of the season. I know we're underdogs, but you know what? If we're classed as underdogs, then you know what? Punch face, we've got nothing to lose. Show everyone what we're capable of. Bit of punch face, bit of motivation. I do want to be a bit more assertive, but if we're classed as underdogs according to the game, we've got to kind of play to that a little bit. Kent nods it away, though, as we try and get a pretty early goal. A minute in, we already had a corner. It's nodded out to Shakin Stevens. What can he do on this right-hand side? He whips it in. Back post, Geffen steers himself into the right position to catch that one before our big Geffen Meat can penetrate the defence with a goal. It's ball up to Kitely. He gets it back to Clark Harris. Over to Mitchell. Mitchell up to not Webb, but Vickers, in fact, who has just slid it under our goalkeeper. Looked like we might score within 2 minutes. Instead, we've conceded. That's a little rough. That is rough. As you can see, our travelling away fans were behind that goal. So, travelling away fans, not going to be too happy with that one. We are going to demand more, because it is quite the journey to come down from York to Peterborough, and you don't want to be seen as concede 2 minutes into an away leg. If you are one of our travelling fans, it's Mitchell here now. Mitchell over to Chief. Where's he going to go with this one? Max up to Grant. Thankfully, George will poke it away. And, what was that? He stopped it before it went out of play, picked it up before it went out of play, and then decided to just walk off the pitch with it. Thankfully, didn't concede from the corner. I would have been really annoyed if we did. Lawless, counter-attack. Where's he going to go with this one? Ball through to the big Geoffrey Meat. He's one-on-one with the defender. Pulls it out wide to Lubala. Lubala can get a good cross in. He's got a couple of men in the box now he can get it to. Instead, though, Hancock comes through the back of him. Not Matt Hancock. Instead, Mason Hancock. Just as dirty, but he's not a politician, so we can't hate on him as much. Blackburn, by the way, 2-0 up against Luton. Cooney coming down the right-hand side. Dispossessed by the big Geoffrey Meat, though. And he's going to get it up to Weiss. Now, can Weiss get a good cross in or perhaps even shoot? Plays it back for Rowley. Rowley, edge of the area, back to Weiss. Weiss is getting close down, though. Pulls it back for Brandon. Brandon's going to go out wide. Can he get a good cross in? Come on, Brandon. Whips it in. Back post. Lubala, come on. Beautiful cross by Brandon Fleming. And what's an even better header by Lubala at that back post. Lovely. Love to see it. Also, something I don't love to see, as you can see from that corner of the pitch. Again, a wall going through signboards, clipping through, and a bunch of bins in a place that don't look like you can get them out because the buildings only have normal single doors and they've got big industrial bins out there. So the only way to get those bins out is to lift them over the wall. Yes. Spot Interactive. Maybe think about that a little bit more. Or at least the design team who were doing that, you know. Think before you put assets in a corner of the pitch. Anyways, Sorensen, ball up. Big Geoffrey can't get onto the end of it. Kent will get it instead. Over to Cooney. Cooney coming down this right-hand side. Can we get a tackle in? Come on, Brandon. Put a bit of pressure on him. Weiss is doing all the hard work. You could have at least helped him out. Instead, though, it's back to Kent. Kent, ball over the top. And George is way out of his goal. Please do not mess this one up. Thankfully, gets it over to Fleming, and he gets it down the wing to Weiss. So Weiss, oh, crossfield. Oh, big Geoffrey can get it. Oh, steer. What's he doing? Oh, Geoffrey, chase it, chase it, chase it, chase it. Does he need to? No, he doesn't. What on earth was that goal? I was very confused. Yeah, just confused. My brain. It's completely screwed up my brain. Steer, even if he stayed on his feet, could have ran back and got that. Big Geoffrey Meat, don't know why he stood here. I would have chased that down if I was Big Geoffrey, just in case it stops before the line, chase it and just poke it in. But I guess he knew something I didn't, as it just trickled its way into the goal. Clark Harris as well hits the post, and we've escaped that little bit of danger. It's been quite the interesting game so far, as Weiss is now going to take a corner. Hopefully, this doesn't work out the same way as it did about 2 minutes into the game. So we had an opportunity from the corner then, and well, they scored at the other end. So, Derby County 1-0 up against Millwall, by the way. Fulham's 2-0 up against Barnsley. Leeds are beating Sunderland 1-0. Nottingham Forest is 3-0 up, but I didn't quite catch against who. Sorensen plays it back, and it's a ball in. Rowley's going to collect this one as it's nodded away. No, he's not. Clark Harris beat him to it, but he passed it straight to Terry. Now, Sorensen over to Shakin' Stevens. Sorens through to Lubala now. Lubala coming out to this right-hand side, pulls it to Shakin' Stevens. He's going to play it back to Sorensen, which seemed like a really silly pass. He's going to 1-2 with Lawless, though, up to Lubala. Shakin' Stevens, way too much space on this right-hand side. Can he use it, though? No, he's going to play it to Sorensen yet again. Some interesting choices of passes here, but eventually it's over to Shakin' Stevens. Ball through to Lubala, and he forces a save out of Steer, who steers it round his own post and gives us another corner. Here, 3 minutes, about 2 minutes from time, plus any additional. I'm going to say about 4 minutes, couple of additional. Doesn't matter, because Frankie Terry, my friends, with the assist from Weiss, has just made it 3-1. Come on, Frankie. The love child, Frank Lampard and John Terry. Gotta love him. Weiss, the legendary Weiss, whipping it in, beats Clark Harris in the air to get that one. So, Nottingham Forest, that was against Swansea, by the way. Well, ladies and gents, we've got a nice 3-1 lead going into this one. It was looking close at 4 shots apiece and 2 on target apiece, but we've started running away with this one. 11 to their 5 and 6 on target to their 3. Slightly more possession, and of course we're level on passing as well. 3 times their XG, not too shabby. So we've had a lot of shots so far. Keep it going, lads. As you can see, ratings wise, no one is having a bad game. I would say we could do a little bit better, but I'm not complaining at this one. Now, as you can see, we're actually only 5 points away from the playoffs with 5 games left. Don't think we're making it. We are going to slip up. We have some big games. It'll be ridiculous if we make playoffs. But it's a ball to Lubala. Lubala coming down this right-hand side, pulls it back for Lawless. Lawless now to Lubala, inside to Lawless, whips it in. Ooh! Our big Geffy meat cannot keep his header down. Vickers has been taken off by them. And we are going to make some substitutions, ladies and gents. We've got a few people on yellow cards. Okay, one player, Weiss, getting a little bit tired. He's on an 8 rating, though. Weiss, I know you're old, but can you just hold on? Please? Please, Weiss? I'd really appreciate it. Shipley can come on for Terry. We're going to risk Brandon, and if you upset me by getting sent off, I'm not going to be happy. Just saying, I'm not going to be happy, Brandon. So, Civic for Lubala. Lubala can swap with Rowley. And then, what shall we do with our third and final substitutes? Of course, we'll bring on Phillips. Is he better as an inside forward? Yes, he is. Unless we went inverted winger, I guess we could do that. But we'll stay with an inside forward. Blackburn 3-1 up against Luton right now. And Steer is going to try and root one it. But Adipan nods it on and instead gives it back to them. As Cochran does a great job to keep it in on this left-hand side. He's doing an even better job to break down that left-hand side without taking it out of play. Ball up to Grant now. Grant's going to pull it back for Mayer, who just put it wide of the goal. Okay, no, he didn't. Shipley got onto it. I was going to say, if that was his shot, that was poor. Very poor. Grant, though, whipping in the corner, nodded away by Adiapan. Cochran again to collect this one, but it amounts to nothing. So, we've got ourselves highlight. Lawless, dispossessed. Grant now, counter-attack up to Mayer. He nods it on, but Adiapan should be here to collect it. Where's he going to go? Up to Sorensen. Sorensen now through to Lawless. Lawless has a great opportunity down this right-hand side. Perhaps he can pull it back for his support. He does have Lubala. Whips it in to Geffy, and it's a header over the bar. Sorry, he doesn't have Lubala, does he? He has Rowley over there now. I need to remember these things when I take players off. They don't stay over there. Birmingham is 1-0 up against QPR. Bristol City 2-1 up against West Brom. And Bournemouth is 1-1 against Ipswich. 3-2, by the way, in the Nottingham Forest game against Swansea. It's getting interesting in that one, although Swansea probably still going to get relegated. Anyway, Hancock plays it all the way back to Steer. He's going to play it up to Shabani. Shabani in the centre circle. Now making a lovely run. It's a ball up to Grant. He finds Mayer. Mayer's probably going to play it back to Grant. Through to Clark Harris. Okay, that was terrible. That was terrible, Clark. I don't mind, but if you don't want to get relegated, Clark Harris, you got to do better than that. That's the sort of opportunity you've got to put in the back of the net. Mayer right now, what's he going to do with it? Turns, passes. Sorensen intercepts it though. Lawson, he's just going to hoof it upfield as Hancock chases this one down, and he's been chased down by our big Geffy mate. It's a ball across to Kent though. Kent tries to root one it up to Clark Harris. Clark Harris breaks through. Ball cross to Mayer. Shipley does get a touch on it. Unfortunately, don't get it away from him, and the shot does go careening off the post before being cleared away. So, Reading 4-0 up against Portsmouth, by the way, but who cares about any other game? We just picked up a 3-1 victory and a rather entertaining goal on that 23rd minute as Big Geffy Meat had a little bit of a dribbler into the net. But I thank you all for joining us in this one. Like I said, I believe we shall be versing Bristol City in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you have been having a good week thus far. Hopefully you have a lovely night, and goodbye.